I'm sure everyone has had that experience where they saw someone a lot younger than themselves do something incredible, something astonishing, something awe-inspiring, and they're like, this guy is actually more talented than I am. Usually, it's people comparing their page 1 to someone's page 1000. Because someone is younger than you doesn't mean that person doesn't have a lot more experience than you. Like, somebody might be younger than you, but that person has like 20 years of experience while you just have 5. Once you have this at the back of your mind, you learn to stop judging yourself so harshly. You learn to just know that everything is a process, and this person, like as our parents would say over here in Nigeria, they just have one head, they don't have two heads. So if they have the capacity, the ability to be able to do that thing, definitely you as well have that ability. Starting something new, learning something new is so frustrating that sometimes you just be like, especially what you see is the standard of that thing is in the world. Like, let's say whether that be acting, whether that be writing, whether that be drawing, you see what the current standard in the world is, like what the people in the highest peaks are achieving, what they're able to do, and then you see how you're struggling with this measly thing, with this measly fundamental, and you're like, I'm just not cut out for this. I'm here to tell you that that is a lie, and that is bullcrap. You are capable of doing a lot of things. Actually, the problem that people have is that they focus a lot on multiple things at once. And so because they are focusing a lot on multiple things at once, it is quite difficult for them to just focus all their energy to just narrow down and just focus on that one thing and actually begin to see incremental progress in that thing. And then is we spread ourselves to things and we make little progress in each thing instead of just focusing on just one thing. Talents probably exist. Like, people pick up things better, people have better spatial awareness. There are people that have steadier hands, who are built with different abilities. But the problem a lot of beginners have whenever they are learning a new skill is that they think that because someone has talent, they think that determines the final destination of a person. They think that that determines like how far that person will go. The thing about talent is that it's sort of like a rocket booster. It's going to take you ahead faster, but it doesn't mean that it's going to keep you constantly ahead of everyone, because having a skill, having any skill in general, is sort of like a marathon. Like, you keep going, you keep going, you keep going. Like, it's not a sprint. It's not something that you just achieve and you just have it, right? It's something that you continually improve upon, and like with persistence, with consistency, with discipline, right, with dedicated practice, with critiques, you get better with every single time that you put in the effort to do it. One thing that social media has caused is that it has caused beginner artists, it has caused people that are starting out in a skill. Like, when you know that thing where you enter a new social media and they tell you to pick your interest, let's say food, let's say sports and things like that. What it does is that it then shows you the best of those things. Like, it shows you the highlight, it shows you people's highlights, it shows you the highest performance. It doesn't show you the struggle, it doesn't show you the bad art, it doesn't show you the ugly work, it doesn't show you the frustration that person felt whilst doing that work. It doesn't show you the 15 times that person probably had to erase and redraw that nose. It just shows you the perfect nose, the perfect mouth, the perfect face that person has drawn. It doesn't show you how long it took, right? Even master artists, sometimes they have to go to 3D models or like references to go and look for references to actually get a particular pose, and then when they finally present it to the world, it just looks like this masterpiece, and it seems like it didn't take a lot of time, or like they were just lazing through it, and they were just like maybe probably smoking cigar as they were working on it. But actually, they had to be very intentional about every single thing that they did. That single masterpiece that they do, it doesn't show the years of bad anatomy, the years of awkward looking perspective, the years where their composition wasn't the best, the years where their colors were just looking murky and muddy. All it shows is the breathtaking illustration that you currently have in front of you. That training montage that you usually see in anime or in any story, like the Rocky cutscene, right? You don't see that in that person's artwork. You just see that wonderful, beautiful piece. But everybody has to go through that. Like, even the most talented people, they've had to put in effort for them to level up in their ability. You shouldn't be comparing your stage 10 with someone's stage 20. Right? When you go into like a forest or a tree and you see different trees around, you don't compare a tree that is like similar trees. Let's say a mango tree, for instance. You don't compare a mango tree that is a year old versus a mango tree that is about 5 years old, right? They are not going to be the same thing in terms of productivity. growth needs time and patience. The same way that mango tree that is in year one needs time, it needs the proper nourishment, it needs the exposure to the sun, it needs the patience to grow so that it can bear like more fruit. It's the same way you as an artist, you need time, you need patience, you need consistency, you need the proper environment, which could be in form of like resources that will actually help you develop as an artist. That could be courses, tutorials, that could be having a mentor or a tutor, things like that. A lot of the times, the things people call talent is all about mileage, right? You see somebody begins like is so fascinated with drawing dragons or drawing dinosaurs, like from the age of 5 or 6, and then 10 years later they are still obsessed with drawing dragons and drawing dinosaurs. Their dinosaurs is going to be one of the best dinosaurs, that could possibly exist in terms of drawing dinosaurs, because they've had more mileage in drawing dinosaurs, in like they have a lot of experiences in drawing that one thing, because they've drawn it in different angles, they've seen different ways or different styles at which to draw that one thing, because they have a lot of experience with that thing. You that just started drawing dinosaurs or drawing animals, let's say 2 years ago, you're never going to be better than that person like currently. Like you might get to that level, but the experience that person has, the way that person perceives drawing dinosaurs or drawing dragons, is going to be a lot better than you. That one analogy applies to every single aspect of life, every single skill, whether that be writing, whether that be being a marathon runner, even though like it's something physical, like the older you get, the worse you become. Like even it could be something like writing, it could be something like in any industry, right? That's why you see someone has like 20 years of experience, 15 years of experience, 30 years of experience. He's always going to be knowledgeable and have more information about the industry than someone that is just coming up. This person that's just coming up might have a little bit more talent, right? But that person that has been there in that industry is going to be able to navigate things a lot better and show that new person the ropes. The thing as a beginner that you need to focus on a lot of the time is progress, not perfection, right? You've heard about this story where there was this teacher that divided this pottery class. The teacher divided the class into 2 groups. One was meant to produce as many pottery pots as possible, and the other was meant to produce the most perfect pots as possible. At the end, when he was grading everything, the class that produced the most amount of pots, which their focus was they were meant to focus on producing the most amount of pots as possible. They produced even the most beautiful pots, because they were allowed to experiment. They tried different things. There was variations, right? You should apply that thing whenever you are a beginner artist. You should be more of a scientist, right? You should try out things, and you should try to put out more volume than focusing on making every single drawing or every single study that you do the most perfect study ever. You need to focus on how to double your efforts. Quantity doesn't always equal quality, but when you are starting out, you are not at the level where you are good, and like you might have taste, yes, but you're not at the level where you've created enough to start worrying about perfection. What you should be worrying about is getting reps in, getting the muscle memory, getting familiar with techniques, getting familiar with how to think, like the right mindset to have whenever you're approaching a drawing, whenever you're approaching any single work that you're doing. The comparison you should be doing as a person is whether you were better than your previous self, right? A lot of people will see all this amazing art online. They'll be like, oh my God, this is such a fantastic artist. This is such a fantastic musician. And they'll be like, will I ever get to this level, right? And that is curiosity. That is a valid question to ask, right? But that is not the question you should be asking. What you should be asking is that if I decide to give up now, right? If I'm feeling frustrated, I'm feeling like dejected, I'm feeling so bad about myself and about how like bad my skill is. If I were to give up now, or if I were to continue doing this thing that I'm currently doing, like pursuing this skill, in 5 years' time, will I be better than I currently am? The answer is yes. If you keep at it, you will be better than you currently are. There's this saying, comparison is the thief of joy. It's also the thief of momentum, because the time you're spending comparing yourself to someone who already has like 20 years under their belt is the time you could have been using developing and improving your skill. So if you're a beginner artist that is currently starting and your drawings look like trash, your drawing looks like chicken scratches, your drawings are not the way you imagine them in your head, you can't replicate the ideas that you have in your head on your page, on your canvas, don't give up. Like, stop confusing the fact that you're unfamiliar with a particular skill with inability. The fact that you're moving slow does not mean that you are not progressing. If you keep at it, you're going to get to your chapter 2, you're going to get to your chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5, and before you know it, you have this skill, you're at this level where you actually didn't believe you could reach. All because you decided to stay long enough to allow yourself to become good, to grow into that skill. Instead of asking yourself, am I talented enough to do this? Ask yourself, am I willing to stay disciplined at this thing and stay at it long enough for me to be able to actually get good at it? Because once you've decided to show commitment to that thing, you definitely get good at it. Like, you decided to commit to it for the long term, you're going to get good at it. Like, stop merging and confusing people's year 20 with your year 5. Like, give it time, you'll get there. As long as you're following this structured approach to learning, you're going to get good. And that's just what I wanted to share with beginner artists and beginners in any skill in general, because that's just sort of what I've learned, right? I grew up as someone that I only had one interest, and that interest was either sports or arts, and eventually became music as well. But majority of my life, all I've been interested in was drawing from a very young age. Like, whenever I saw cartoons, I always wanted to draw them. Like, whenever they bought cassettes, like, and I'll see like these drawings or these illustrations on the cassettes, I always wanted to draw them. So, like, it's something I've been familiar with, I would say, for majority of my life. So a lot of the times when I went to school, I spent a lot of time drawing, and people would be like, oh, you're really good at drawing. But the thing is that I actually spent a lot of time, and I was willing to spend that time on that one thing. Like, I was willing to spend days even until I actually get the portrait looking the way it was supposed to look. Even though I didn't understand anything about things like the Loomis method, the Riley method, how to, like, the planes of the face, I didn't understand things like that. I was just willing to just make the art look the way the original portrait looked. And because I spent that amount of time, whenever I came in a normal setting, you can't expect those guys to be on the same level I am in terms of drawing, right? So, like, they always considered it as talent. And yes, I would say I had like a little bit more natural aptitude to it than others. But it's not an excuse as to why you should keep feeling dejected about what you're doing, right? Stay at it, and eventually you get better. Just be patient. Growth takes time. Yeah, that's just what I wanted to share today. I'll see you guys later.